I played a game called Blood on the Clock Tower, which I would not stop calling Blood on the Clock Tower the entire time I played it. But
yes, heard great
because
things
it's like you come out to find the games master skewered on the, and I was like, on the cock tower?
Yeah.
I said it really quietly, and only my friend heard me, and she was like, no, everybody has to know what you just said to me.
Is it worth playing? It sounds really good.
We only did like sort of the tutorial scenario, and we only had 5 people, so... but it was good.
If they ever did a crossover with Werewolf and the werewolf was the GM skewered on the cock tower, it would have to be a silver cock tower or else it'd still
and there'd be a knot at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so...
In 1996, Scholastic began publishing Animorphs. Over the next 6 years, Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, under the pseudonym K.A. Applegate, produced 54 main series books, several spin-offs, and inspired a TV series, graphic novels, and a cult following. We can't tell you where we live. We can't even tell you our last names. But we can tell you our thoughts and feelings on this series, book by book. I'm Miranda.
I'm Eddie.
And I'm Chris.
And we are... the Anidorks. These may be kids' books, but we discuss dark themes and mature content. There may also be some explicit language. Listener discretion is advised.
Back to the Omegaverse, already in progress. Chapter 16.
So we've got these 2 Hork Bajir loose. Well, we actually want them to be loose. They've been liberated. They're free.
Yeah, I thought you were saying something about their moral character for a second there. I was a little offended.
Floozies!
They're married.
Floozies? Wait a second. There's no setup for that joke. Our audience is going to like start into this episode and be like, Eddie just called the Hork Bajir floozies out of nowhere.
But what about the Newsies parody you didn't know you needed?
Oh my God. Oh my God, Floozies!
The joke
I want to be in the original cast of
eyes.
Floozies. Yeah.
So we've got the 2 Hork Bajir. Jarahmi and Ket Halpak, they're married. Kalashi, she is his wife. He says Kalashi.
Can we take a moment? I don't know if I'm sure at some point we did, but the Hork Bajir story is so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the books and the fact that it's there at all is sad. Like, that's the story of this people. But it doesn't really sit with, the kids never go, geez, that's really, really dark. Like, we don't actually take a moment to sit with how horrible the Hork story is. I guess Andalite Chronicles kind of does, but it's more about how it affects the Andalites rather than how it affects the Hork Bajir.
There's almost a way in which, like, all the trauma is collapsed into them being a pure enemy, because it's like all the trauma that these 2 Hork Bajir have experienced is now trauma because they've been rescued to their peaceful selves, whereas they're just like kind of presented as killbots in the rest of the series. Like, you don't hear a lot of remorse from the and Animorphs. Like, the Animorphs have reason. If something with big pointy blades is coming at me, like, I understand why they see a Hork Bajir and think, oh, this is bad news. But it is like interesting how complicated this rewriting of their, like,
it's like, it's the book starting to glimpse into the weight of what they've already introduced. Like, okay, we did the Taxon version, and we did meet the Mountain Taxons, but they're pretty gross, they're pretty shitty. But Hork Bajir, as the more we get to know them, like, the kids are starting to get to know the Hork Bajir, and they're like, oh, they might just be peaceful. The blades are for cutting bark off trees.
Yeah.
Eddie's frozen.
Eddie's gone, actually. Eddie's gone.
He's gone. Eddie was making the most smug face when he dropped. He was like...
He was going to say, actually.
Actually?
That was so sad. I went to look at the Google Doc, and Chris just froze on... They tree bark. And I was like, okay, I feel really attacked right now. And then I was like, are you serious? And I went back to the call, and you both were just frozen.
All right, 8:24:40.
Cool. Oh, no. Eddie froze.
Oh, no. No.
It's not the most nightmarish face I've ever made while frozen, so,
No, it's like that. You should submit that as like your new driver's license photo.
All right.
I look like a floozy!
Perfect callback. And the funny thing is
something we didn't record the original.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the funny thing is
and
when
Miranda wasn't present.
When we usually do a callback like that, we've usually been doing the episode for like a couple hours, but now we've just had recording issues this whole time, so people will hear a callback like a couple minutes after we made the initial joke, which is so funny.
All right, should we clap
so is everything
again?
Good?
Or...
Let's clap one more time. Eddie, your recording's good. You're all good.
Do we think it's going to stick this time?
I do think you seem actually golden. You seem very stable.
Why would it disconnect again, though?
You're like, he's hyper-connected right now. Look at how snappy
genius.
this connection is.
We were like, okay, and 3, 2, Eddie's frozen, clap.
All right. 8:26:52. And he's frozen. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Actually,
It's
can you
choppy for
clap?
me.
Can you clap one more time?
Just randomly?
Yeah, just randomly. Okay. I wondered if clapping caused it somehow. So it's choppy for you?
Yeah, the first time it happened, it was because I switched to the Google Doc, and that's always a troubling side when just doing
I'm gonna
that.
turn HD off my camera. We could also go audio if we thought it would be more stable.
Audio.
I don't think that helps as much as us going audio.
Really?
But, well, it probably helps if we all go audio.
But we use so much nonverbal communication in our podcast.
It's true.
You're really only
right.
getting a third of the experience if you listen in the podcast format, which is all we release. So.
It's true.
Can I tell you, this man at work today, we were talking about, and I never make comments like this at work. I don't know why I did. But there was a man who showed up on screen, and I was like, I'm sorry, but he looks like one of the photo booth effects is constantly going on his face. And they were like, Eddie used to chair at the board of trustees. And I was like, I never make comments like that. And the one time I do, like, he just had a very
Eddie, you're a person who says I never make comments like that.
I don't.
You did.
He really did. I only said it because it was so significantly true about this man.
You felt you would be like denying the universe of a truth if you didn't say something.
What else is my role as an artist if not to?
It's true. That's true. There you go. Chapter 16.
Sorry,
Tobias and the Hork Bajir continue their journey to the valley. Tobias is hungry, tired even. He asked the HB if they need to find something to eat. They explained to him that food is plentiful for them because they eat tree bark despite having never seen a tree on this planet before. They somehow knew that was what they wanted to eat. Tobias learns, Eddie wrote all of that. Tobias learns, Eddie wrote me saying Eddie wrote all of that and me saying this right now. Tobias learns that the blades are for harvesting bark, like a dog, I guess.
What?
Eddie wrote that too. Tobias reflects on the fact that despite Tobias reflects on the fact that despite their appearance, the Hork Bajir weren't predators at all. They were just caught in the crossfire of a war they wanted nothing to do with. Tobias leaves to find food for himself. He's like, fuck this, I'm out of here, I'm getting chicken nuggets. All right.
So not a whole lot happens in this chapter in terms of actual story moving forward, but we do get a lot of like the lore on the Hork Bajir that the different blades are for cutting different parts of the tree, and that's pretty neat.
It is a cool concept for the books. Yeah.
It's an important thing to learn because I do feel like we've been taught the Hork Bajir are walking weapons. What does Marco always say? Salad?
He calls them salad
shooters.
Not a salad tosser. No. Really?
No,
Like in front of my salad?
I think it was Loren who called him that while she was rimming the universe, the Pocketverse.
Salad shooters, which is very different. It's a different role.
Also a sex act.
That's the binary right there. Salad tossers and salad shooters.
Yeah. That's how I remember it in baseball. The salad tosser throws the ball to the salad shooter.
Who shoots him with a gun.
Baseball just got so much more interesting. So.
Shouldn't have brought a baseball to a gunfight.
I would watch. Yeah. All right.
They say,
wait. But so I feel like it's important because, I mean, it really speaks to they are a peaceful people who have been weaponized, like, because they have blades all over their bodies.
They were targeted for being, like, physically perfect fighting machines, and that's not their fault. It's not what it's not what they're here for.
They just love bark.
Bark. One of my favorite details is when they're talking about it, Jirahami is explaining like what it was like to eat back on his home planet. He's like, when Jirahami small, Jirahami eat from the canver, eat from the luhak, eat from the tall fit. And Tobias responds, are those all trees? I mean, are they like these trees? And better, Ket Halpak said. Better, Jirahami agreed. And then I got the feeling Jirah thought he might have insulted me by dissing earth trees. Earth tree good, he added. Earth tree good, Ket Halpak agreed.
But the thing I will say is there is no information here about whether or not an earth tree is at all analogous to what they would have eaten. Now, it's like, okay, I get it. It's probably got a thick trunk and like, they're like, oh, we just take the outsides. But that could also be the skin of an elephant. They could be like skinning a deer and eating just the bark of the deer.
That's true. We don't know what's a tree to them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. These trees walk around on 4 legs and bark like a dog.
But an assumption, it does feel like because they recognize our trees and they seem to adjust pretty quickly to. I guess they've been here for a while.
Look, I am being difficult. I am being bad.
No. I'm just
being
saying,
bad right now.
It does feel like an implication is that trees are fairly similar.
Also,
right? Like
they do specifically say, Hork Bajir have no enemy, no prey, Hork Bajir not kill. So, like, that's sort of, I mean, you could argue, I guess, that if they don't, it's like, oh no, according to our religion, anything that walks on 4 legs isn't sentient. Like, I mean, I guess you could make that argument, but
I'm making a ridiculous argument. I think for sure.
You think that they're skinning elephants on their home planet, and that's what they're calling bark.
I did technically allege that, and I have nothing to back it up, but it's been a week of wild allegations.
That is true, but some of those have something to back it up. Moving on.
Yeah. I think you're channeling more Drake here than Kendrick, Chris.
What? How dare you?
Tobias does have to get his own food. They offer him some tree bark, and they do seem to be able to eat it, and they seem to know that. So I feel like this is how they've been sourcing, like this is how the Yeerks have been sourcing food for the Hork Bajir while they're here. Like this is what they've been eating.
Yeah.
I don't know if they like look into the planet that they're going to and make sure that it has food that can nourish because like they need the Kandrona, right? They're always going to need that. But like taxons seem to eat anything. They're like goats. But like Hork Bajir apparently have specific dietary needs. So if they go to a planet that doesn't have trees, like how long and what are they doing for them in space? Like I have a lot of questions.
Yeah, there's a lot of questions.
Is the lumber camp from book 9?
Oh my God.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Eddie's a fucking
because they've been skinning trees.
Unbelievable.
That's why they were buying a logging company.
That's incredible.
That's
Eddie,
so
you are
good.
incredible. That is like Eddie wins the podcast.
No.
I'm going to change the cover of the podcast to a picture of Eddie's correct face.
Yeah.
Being so correct.
Which is not that screenshot you took.
You know what else? This is the same chapter where they bring up skunks again.
Yo,
and what book did we have?
It was on the brain. It was book 9.
Book 9 when we had Dapson Lumber Company. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yes,
wow, Eddie, big brain. Big brain
big
shit.
brain. That's what they've always said about me. Such a big brain. Small body, big brain.
I got a smooth brain, no wrinkles in this brain.
All thoughts
we have to
slide right
all thoughts. We have to post on YouTube book 13 unlocked.
Yes, no, book 9 unlocked. Book 9 unlocked. Y'all thought this book wasn't important, but they were setting the stage.
Yeah.
An arrow pointing to some corner of
Yo, dude, we should do clickbait. I don't know how to do it, and I think we would look super stupid doing it, but it would be pretty fucking funny to do clickbait.
Just a photo of a log cabin with an arrow pointing for Hork Bajir.
Hold on. Let's do a clickbait phase in our episode titles. Like, let's do it. Like, I don't know how to do it, but let's make it like, is it how AI is going to change like Hork Bajir, or like
was Dapson lumber of like a buffet all along or something?
Yeah. and then in parentheses, and why you should care or something.
And why you should care. Dentists hate this one trick. Anyway.
Wait, so I have
Vissers hate this one simple trick.
I have two thoughts about this, because I remember I thought about this last time we were recording. And I have two thoughts about it, and I only remember one at this moment.
But later, I will have the other thought. I had a big thought just now. Okay, you used a big spoon for that, okay? And now you've only got little spoons left.
If you'll recall, I have a big brain, so... but I feel like there's something going on. So we have Tobias' struggle in this book with whether we talked about how he was prey as human, and he's now a predator as a hawk.
Yeah.
And I feel like the fact that the Hork Bajir have been, the Animorphs have mistaken them for the ultimate predators, but they're actually, they're not prey, but they're a peaceful people who come from a planet where there is no predator or prey dynamic, as far as we can tell, right?
Yeah, I don't know if the trees would agree, but apparently they're not fighting back. So, like,
they scream very quietly.
And for all we know, they're careful not to fully strip the trees. I mean, if the tree is your food source, if the tree is your food source, then you have to be respectful.
If you take the lifetime of a human and graft it onto that of a tree, and you take the amount of time that it takes to cut down a tree, it's like in the experience of that tree, it's like not even a bad day. It's like a bad 2 minutes and your friend just disappears.
Yeah, that's true.
Like you're like having a conversation at coffee in the morning,
and they just start screaming continuously.
The server, but for a couple seconds. Like it's like a very small amount of time, and it's just and they're gone.
It's like if spontaneous combustion were real.
Yes, exactly.
And your friend might just go up at any moment.
You wouldn't even see the human walk up unless they stood there for days.
It's like it didn't happen in your plane of existence. But you're saying, so there's this predator-prey narrative we've got going on through the whole book.
And the book is thinking through, I think with Cassie and Tobias in particular, the books are thinking about, the Animorphs are caught in this war, but what does it mean to cause harm deliberately versus indirectly? And there's something the book is the books are
and what does
ruminating
it mean
on.
In Cassie's case, there's a lot of what does it mean to be an indirect casualty of this war? Like a lot of what book 9 was about with the skunk is what does it mean to have your life sort of taken over by this and not even be a player in it, which the Hork Bajir, you can kind of make an argument that that's going on to them. Like they're a player in that they're physically there, but their bodies are just being used, which is a horrific thought.
Yeah. And I guess that makes me think, going off that, I was just thinking, what is the difference and what is the question that Tobias's books are asking? And I feel like it's similar to the Chi. And with the Hork Bajir, I guess, when is it ethical? Because Tobias should stand up for himself as someone who's being bullied, and as a hawk, he should. I think the books think he should kill to survive because he has to eat, right?
It's part of the cycle of nature, because he's also. I mean, you have to. You look at it, right? Because if one species stops consuming another species, they stop consuming or they start over consuming whatever they consume, which inconveniences other species and can lead to, it's all part of a very delicate web.
Yeah. And I think the books also think, maybe not with the Chi, but the Hork Bajir, they're starting to fight back. They would rather die than be enslaved by the Yeerks again.
Yeah. Which is metal as fuck.
Yeah.
I want to hit this thing that I kind of discovered while I was reading this. Just while I was reading this one section of the book, it started to sound like it's not far from like a set of Tom Waits lyrics. Like if Tom Waits did like fairy tales, and it's when Tobias, so they're just escaping the Taxons from the prior chapter, the Bloodhound Taxons who are like showed up and stiffened them, and they're walking through the woods. And Tobias is wondering why they're not getting attacked. He's like, I guess we were forced, we're like, I guess the Hork Bajir are intimidating enough, but he sort of goes through this line of reasoning with each of the predators in the forest as to why they weren't being fucked with. And so yeah, they're marching through the two Hork Bajir, and they have Tobias on one of their backs. And the forest predators couldn't quite figure out. I'm going to read this as Tom Waits. I'm going to get you. And no one flinched down by the arcade.
That's pretty good.
The predators couldn't quite figure out what to do with us. At one point, the wolves were scouting for their pack. Wolves are smart. They didn't know what Hork Bajir were, but they knew they shouldn't mess with them. The deer scampered away from us. Owls dismissed us. We were obviously not mice. That's all the owls cared about. The foxes slunk away. Raccoons froze. And no one flinched down by the arcade.
Small change.
Only the forest's most fearless creature ignored us and went about its business.
Pretty good. It made me think of, have you ever heard the one that, I don't know if it's a track or a skit where he's like, what's he building in there? Like,
yes.
It's so creepy.
Yes. It's so good.
I tried to listen to it in October. Is it a skit, Chris? It's on an album? I don't know.
It is weird. It's like a weird piece of audio performance art.
Yeah.
It's really good.
It's about what this
energy string beer and a shot.
Chapter 17. Tobias goes hunting, but gets knocked out of the air by a bobcat. The bobcat tries to attack him, but Tobias outsmarts the bobcat using a stick to jab it in the eye. He emphasizes that the human mind saved him here, not the animal part of him. A taxon emerges from the woods and gobbles the bobcat in one bite. Tobias observes how recklessly the Yeerks are pursuing these Hork Bajir. They are out in plain sight, willing to kill anyone or anything.
There's this... Go ahead, Miranda.
No, I was going to say we did get into a bit of a conversation about whether or not we thought taxon eating bobcat was cute. Obviously, it's a tragedy that the bobcat is being removed from the world. It's an objective loss of cuteness in the world. However,
they are terrifying.
I am on the side that swallowing your food whole is cuter than tearing it apart. So,
if bobcats hadn't gone properly extinct, I don't think I would ever go in the woods. Like, no joke. If they were, they're really not around in big numbers, dude.
They're around.
I've encountered mountain lions. I think they're different than bobcats.
They're very different than bobcats. They are not. Bobcats are very different from mountain lions.
But bobcats are very present in California?
Yeah, they're much smaller. They're only about the size of like a medium dog. They have like a box-shaped head. They're not the same animal at all. This is not like a puma mountain lion thing.
When they scream.
But yes, we did kill the Nittany lion.
Imagine like 10 times the amount. Like if nature was thriving, like, yeah, you wouldn't go in the woods without a gun. You just wouldn't.
Oh,
do
yeah,
it.
no, that's true. I'm not scared in particular of bobcats, though. I mean, they could fuck me up, but like, why would they?
Because I'm going to shoot them.
I'm going to be honest. I thought the Nittany lion was just the Penn State mascot, which is a...
No, it was a real subspecies of mountain lion that they hunted to extinction, and they have a stuffed one at I'm trying to think if it's in Old Main or if it's in the Hub. I don't know. I haven't been to Penn State in 15 years, so who knows where they have it now. But yeah, no, the Nittany lion was a real subspecies of mountain lion, and I guess. I mean, it was. They kept killing things. No, the Nittany lions are dead.
I know, but I'm just saying. Like, just imagine, like
if there were more mountain lions.
Oh my god!
If there were more bobcats, I think that'd be a positive.
Yeah,
I think they're objectively cuter than coyotes, and fill a similar line point in the food chain.
Man, mountain lions are too scary.
Chris is just looking up videos of mountain lions. They rarely attack humans. We have had a couple fatal mountain lion attacks in the last couple years, though. And they just, like, jump on cyclists and take them down. We don't know why. Nature's healing.
Something I wanted to talk about, I feel like it's important to hit on with this book because it comes up again and again. Tobias and the Animorphs are observing a change, like a recklessness in the Yeerks that seems unfamiliar to them, or it seems...
In this book, yeah, they're really trying to get them back.
And I think we need to talk about that because I don't know if it says something about...
Here's the thing. The cougar is considered is an extirpated species in Pennsylvania. The last known Pennsylvania native cougar was killed in Berks County in 1874.
Right. That's not a bobcat.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Okay.
I'm talking about the cougar.
Okay,
I had the terminology wrong.
You know what I'm afraid of? How reckless the Yeerks are in this book. They're just walking Hork Bajir and taxons out.
It seems to have to do with the size of the head.
No, but it's a good point. How important are 2 Hork Bajir? Because it's painted like they have, like, 1 Hork Bajir and 2 taxons is just the standard ship crew for a bug fighter. So, like, how many Hork Bajir do they have? Has something happened recently that has, because they had to start making cuts, remember, with the Yeerks. They had to start deciding who got Kandrona when they took out the Kandrona.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if they had to, like, off some Hork Bajirs because they couldn't just let them be free.
Yeah.
So, like, or maybe they've been cycling. I don't know, man. Maybe they've got, like,
because it's not like they're not afraid of the Hork Bajir being seen by the public because in order to solve the problem, they're increasing the likelihood.
Right. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense because, like, their fear can't be them getting noticed. Otherwise, like, setting a forest fire with 1,000 aliens in it isn't in their best interest. Their fear just has to be what these Hork Bajir could do if they got away, I guess. And that's, like a really kind of
thing.
How quickly do they breed? That's my next question. Like, could they have a small army of Hork Bajir in a few years? Like,
could it be what they're afraid that 2 Hork Bajir escaping would represent to other Hork Bajir in captivity?
Right, but, like...
That's what they say in the book, but why would that be enough?
But at the same point, they don't go get their bodies and bring them back, so they're just coming back and saying, your foolish Hork Bajir friends are dead, and they might not even believe them.
Yeah, like...
They're not putting the severed heads down in...
Right, like...
Yeah, it really doesn't quite add up that's... Like, there's no way that what they're afraid of is some populist Hork Bajir revolution or something. It like, doesn't quite add up.
And yet, the books don't have to treat this any differently. Like, they don't have to comment again and maybe once, but they don't have to comment again and again on how this is an amping up of Yeerk activity, like a recklessness that... It seems like they want us to note that the Yeerks are treating this differently, but they're not being consistent with
I wonder if we're going to get something about it being political soon. Like the last time, Visser 1 was here, Visser 3 got made to look stupid, and I wonder if some sort of machinations are going on up at the top that we're going to get clued into soon. That, like, he couldn't suffer another failure type of thing.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Am thinking that, like, it might have to do with Ellimist intervention, because it's like, if the Ellimist is tampering with things in such a way, then, like, what would the disproportionate response be about?
Oh, wait. So you're saying... Okay, no, go ahead. Sorry, finish.
I'm saying so, like, we're sitting here trying to wonder why this is so severe. It seems arbitrary to us that 2 Hork Bajir would be such an issue. It also would not have happened without Ellimist intervention.
Correct.
And so, like, there's your concern.
Well, here's
like,
what
it's leverage for the opposing force.
Right. And here's what I think I'm hearing, because we don't think that Visser 3 or they necessarily know about the Ellimist intervention, but we've had a hint of a dark force in play that is on par with the Ellimist. So you're saying that because these Hork Bajir are important, and that's why the Ellimist has chosen to do this in the first place, because this whole event is important either for Tobias or for the Hork Bajir, that the dark force has then ramped up its intervention by trying to force this not to happen.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about if a being knew, genuinely knew in a 4-dimensional way that Jesus Christ was Jesus Christ. And then it's like, okay, I need to do something about Jesus Christ. And I'm like, no, I can't let them kill him or he'll become the Messiah. And like, and suddenly Jesus Christ is like constantly in precarious situations on a New York street and pianos are almost falling and hitting him. And then it was finally just one errant cross that fell and took him down. And suddenly we have a whole religion, but that's what we're trying to avoid here. Like, we're trying to avoid extreme leverage. Like, this is like a corrective force to me, that like the dark elemist, or whatever we want to call him, the evil elemist, the evilist, I don't know, we'll riff something.
Yeah.
But the point is that force is probably doing something to move the pieces in this way. It's probably
And it's interesting. Sorry, I keep cutting you off.
No, that was it.
It's interesting because we had talked about, or at least I had talked about, this idea that this elemist was trying to do things without getting noticed.
Yes, precisely.
And this could be evidence that what he's doing here has been noticed.
Is being noticed. And that's what, yes, yeah. And I am sort of compounding off of your initial premise from the last session, or however many sessions ago.
Yeah.
About that. Yeah.
But if it's not that, we can say is that otherwise it seems like there's not a consistent reasoning as to why.
No, and I would say
that we agree. That we agree.
In this book, we are not given strong evidence of a verified, consistent reason that this is happening. I don't know if we ever will be. It may just be a weird thing that's happening, but it could be something.
And if there is something, CJ will tell us in a spoiler-free
CJ will
fashion.
let us know in a spoiler-free fashion. It will be elegant and well-written, and we will love it. Eloquent, not elegant.
Or CJ will just point out what we're missing that's right in front of our faces.
Yes.
Right.
Or CJ will say, well, you done did it. And no true Animorphs fan would ever listen to this bullshit.
Oh, no. The only thing that happens in this chapter that's also important is that sort of... We've seen moments of the animal part of him being the reason he succeeds at things in this book, and now we're seeing an example of the fact that his human self is still in there is important to his survival, even as a hawk. Like, he is not truly one or the other.
Yeah. That said, this is probably the first time that the Taxons have actually been scary. Like this, and I know we already sort of touched on this.
Really early on, like the first time that they were like feeding scraps of things to the like the Taxons
they were scary
gathering
in Andalite Chronicles too.
A little.
When they were eating each other, when Elfie fell from train tracks.
You know what? Now that you say that,
the hunger,
you're right?
Yeah,
you're right. But like, because I was so blinded by the hunger and my love of them, this is the first time that like I've encountered one. Okay, let me put it this way. This is the first time that I've encountered one where my like visceral body fear kicked in.
Yeah.
Like I've never felt at the mercy of an individual Taxon. They just sound like squishy boys.
Well, because they bring up the hunger and they say the hunger, but then they try to lift their little wrench and they have trouble with their.
Oh,
yes, exactly.
You can't quite do anything with the wrench, So
yeah. So which chapter? That was us wrapping up
17.
17, right. So actually Tobias didn't even manage to get the food that he narratively set out for. Still hungry. But it does create an opening for some distance between him and the rest of the gang.
And
in chapter 18. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you going to say?
He does see at the end just how many Taxons are like rolling out to start looking.
That's right. He gets a sense of how disproportionate the response is, and we'll probably hear about that in this description unless Eddie left it out. I wish you could hear Eddie's faces, but honestly, they might be kind of unpleasant to listen to because they're very judgmental. Chapter 18. The rest of the gang finds Tobias. They're all in Birdmorph except for X. Tobias tells everyone about the Elemist's interference and privately tells Rachel about the Elemist's offer. The gang decides to reveal themselves to the Hork Bajir. Once the Hork Bajir declare that they will die before they allow themselves to be recaptured. Free or dead, Jara shouts. Jake, Rachel, Cassie, and Tobias exclaim, it is well. Which Yes. So the thing here is they are hitting the timeline of their morphs, the 2-hour time limit of their morphs, and they need to demorph into human and possibly switch up their arrangement. And that means that if they do that in front of the Hork Bajir, they will know that they're not Andalite bandits.
Yes.
And that they are human children. And this is a huge risk, but it basically puts them in the position of they may have to put down the Hork Bajir.
Yeah.
If there's ever a chance of them getting recaptured.
Right. If they were captured again, the Yeerks would know everything.
Apologies if that was terribly obvious, but I felt it worth.
No, you're good. You're absolutely great. And,
Cool.
and you know, Tobias gives them the whole, like, hey, so it's definitely an Elemist. I do know that. And
Yes,
Cassie's like,
right.
Axe put $5 on it. And then we explained to him that those were acorns. But, like, he's like, yeah, it's great. Rachel, like, sends him a little DM because she's like, hey, something about your tone is, like, a little weird. Like, what's up? And he's like, yeah, it's the Elemist says he'll, make me human again. And even here, he admits, he's like, something about putting the words to it, it didn't sound right. But it was it is what I wanted. It's what I wanted. That's what I wanted. That's what I want.
What else would I want? Is there another option? Could you tell me what I might want? Like, yeah.
And so he's like, yeah, he wants to do human shit again. And it's like, but he's also admitting even here that, like, saying he'll make me human again didn't sound right. Although it's also just not what he said. So, like, Rachel's very excited, though.
About how he delivers it, that is almost like, because remember when he's in the Elemist's pocket thing, it says, like, he struggled to even say the words, or, like, he choked on the words.
Yeah, because he just went, you know what I want. And he's like, I struggled even to say that. Yeah, so he's, like, literally unable to voice his wants in this book.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. So there's what happens in this chapter is that Jara Hami and Ket Halpik start doing a little cheer, like, what does I say?
free or dead is what they say.
Free or dead. And then the kids start saying it. And you said it is kind of a Braveheart energy. And I agree. The whole cheering is a little bit cheesy in a way I like. I like this chapter.
Well, and I was responding to, like, this is crazy for the 90s, yeah, right? And you said, I love it. And I said,
For
didn't
90s
Braveheart
YA.
come out in the 90s?
No, he's YA. This is not even
okay.
fully YA. This isn't young adult. This is children's.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And
your
the fact-
font doesn't have upper or lowercase letters. So, I think, yeah, right?
Oh, you thought it said yeah.
Yeah.
I correctly interpreted it anyway.
Thank you.
Well, but you should put some fucking periods in there.
Yeah, right?
If you don't have uppercase.
I did pull it
I'm
up on my
just saying.
phone. The colors look great on my phone, by the way, of our font choices.
Yeah, well, your iPhone screen is that Retina display. It's going to look good.
Wow. It's distracting. It is distracting. You were right. I didn't even catch that as I said that. It looks really good.
And that's what we're releasing to the people on our Patreon.
That's right.
That's
You can
what you
read
get.
our
You
notes.
get to see the beautiful fonts and beautiful colors
Curses have
that are
little lines
included.
in the words, like the font has little.
It's a very interesting
You're going to
font.
love it. You're going to love it.
I
We're
went
going to
with
start releasing
Verdana.
that again soon. Interesting
Maybe I
choice.
should get something fancier.
The thing that I was talking about was just that they are talking about how they would rather die than be enslaved again, and this is for children. It's
pretty heavy, yeah.
Yes, that's pretty heavy. And
also-
Braveheart was not a movie for children. This explains
in the
a
Boldy's
lot
family.
of. No, I never
I've
saw
never
it.
seen Braveheart. Yeah.
I've never seen it. I'm just aware of, like, the big speech.
For Scotland, like, I don't know.
They may
Also,
take
like-
our lives, but they'll never take our freedom.
Otherwise,
Is a very memorable
You learn
line.
about drawing and quartering in school, but you don't actually know
I
what
already knew
that
about
means
that.
until but
I'll
They
tell you
tell
something.
you. They tell you
but to
what
get
it
a
means.
visual
Eddie.
example. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't watch it as a kid either. Cut all of that. Cut all of that. There we go.
Oh, yeah,
all of
cut
that.
that. Cut that. No, thank
Cut
God.
that, cut
Thank
that, cut
God.
that. Yeah.
All right.
That's a good segment.
That's
saying, cut
Patreon
that, cut that.
content.
That's Patreon content right there.
And
Brilliant.
our
Okay.
Patreon-
Don't get these
So-
CDs for free. What?
Yes, exactly. Eddie, put your shirt back on.
Audio medium.
Does that mean you're not putting your shirt back
Audio
on? Or
jungle.
because
You guys remember that?
So,
that was one of my favorite. Oh, you don't? Oh, so when you would get like songs, when you would listen to songs that had
desperately have to get back
I'm
on
sorry,
book.
but let me just say this. So it's like the Getty Images, it's like a watermark.
Yes.
And so Audio Jungle was a music licensing website. And so if you're listening to just like every 15 seconds, just a woman would come in real close to the mic. Audio Jungle. Like, it was just like, and so it was a great jump scare on like old YouTube videos that just like, it'd be like, oh, music's playing when it was like, Audio Jungle.
Jungle. That's fucking incredible. Okay. So we were talking about Brave. Oh, but the whole reason I brought this up is because you dragged our ass by saying maybe in the Baldy's household, Braveheart was a YA movie.
Chris and Miranda were allowed to watch R-rated movies too early, is what you said just then.
No, I
Chris,
will admit that was my fault.
Take us back.
I will admit
It's
that
always
was
your
my
fault. Take
that
us
was
back, Chris.
Cut that.
You know what? If it's always my fault, I want to fucking talk about that for a second. Because that can't always be true. And this is the last time.
I was joking.
Yeah, Marco does suck shit in this book.
Marco
Eddie,
just
right.
consistently sucks shit in this book.
He does
we get
suck
one
shit in
moment,
this
I
book.
feel like, in a few chapters where I was like, oh my God, is Marco back? And then it's like, nah.
Did he suck that much in book 3? He kind of did. He was like really hard on Rachel for having that gymnastics.
He was. That's
exposition.
true.
But he also
He was kind of sucky. Yeah, so from Tobias' point of view, yeah.
He opened
That's
the
true.
door so Tobias wouldn't crash in.
He threw the thing to break the window.
He threw a baseball.
That's what it was.
For some reason. Or something.
Break the
But I also-
ceiling. He shattered the glass ceiling.
It's true.
Marco is such an ally.
So you could walk.
Listeners, remember when Marco says really offensive things later in this book to Rachel that he also shattered the glass ceiling. So
That's right.
Yeah,
And he left the door open behind him.
You're
okay?
right. You're right. Yeah. You can't close a shattered glass door.
No.
What we're seeing here is a retelling of his experience of talking to the Ellimist. We have a quote unquote perfect memory of what happened in that event as objective-ish readers. We don't know, this is Tobias's account, but still, when he's talking about telling his friends here, it becomes clear that what he remembers about his interaction with the Ellimist was heavily loaded.
Yeah.
And that he thinks that he has to be a human again. He thinks that he communicated that to the Ellimist rather than sounding like some sort of, Schwarzenegger badass type character where he said just enough and it meant everything. He doesn't know the genie gaff he just stepped in.
Right. But he also says that he, they talk about not trusting the Ellimist, and he says it seems the Ellimist is trying to save the Hork Bajir, not that he'll admit that. So, the Ellimist not coming forward and saying a thing is something he expects from him. But the Ellimist was pretty clear about what he would, at the end there, about what he would do, which is give him what he wants.
Right.
And Tobias is the one who was not clear about what that was.
Yes. And not to mention, it comes in 2 parts. So Tobias is really confused about it, which we'll get to in a couple chapters.
Also, Hork Bajir hold hands.
They do. It's important to know their hands are not too pointy to hold hands. Well, it would be hard with all the blades.
They thought they saw them. Tobias thought he saw them embracing very early on when they first climbed out of the
They were
the up-down shaft.
Their bark blades were just tangled. The up-down shaft. You know what? In this chapter, though, I don't know if we hit this, but the theme about the Packard Foundation award that Rachel's going to be given in the beginning of the book, Chekhov's Packard Foundation Award.
Right.
At some point recently, Tobias made a joke about it that fell flat on its face. He was like, well,
he's
I
wasn't
at least
supposed to know.
Yeah, and everybody just stood there and had no poker face about it. They were just like, oh, God.
How did he find out?
How did he find out about it? Who told him? And now Cassie makes a joke about it, and it fucking kills. And I just think that sucks shit.
Yeah.
Because it's Tobias's joke was actually timely and happened well, and Cassie's joke was also good, but it's just somebody should be it was actually really funny when Tobias said that.
Yeah. Somebody should have been you kind of took that from Tobias. So we should have laughed when Tobias said it. We were all just a little too shocked.
You should about my jokes that you don't laugh at.
Is Cassie funnier than Tobias. If we had to rank the Animorphs.
Definitely.
Is Tobias the
By
least
virtue
funny?
of not being... He's so fucking awkward.
I think Jake might be the least funny. No, I guess not.
That's a good point.
He's
no,
sarcastic.
I think you're right.
No, I think you're right.
Tobias
I think you're right,
is more
actually.
successfully sarcastic. Tobias actually has like kind of older kid off to the side energy when he's like the hawk, just who doesn't really, like he sometimes makes
Sort of like how they
comments.
cast as human in Nickelodeon, I mean.
Yeah.
Where they cast him and he like looked weirdly, he wore like a leather jacket like he was like 17.
That must have been such a crazy casting interview. You walk in and there's just a freaking red-tailed hawk there being like, so can you read that again? But when I used to do it,
we need a chemistry read between you and a hawk,
Rachel,
actually.
you look at the hawk like it used to be a boy that you wanted to date.
For Rachel, yeah.
Sorry,
That's how she got that role. That's
Look at that
amazing
hawk
because
like
she wants to kiss that bird.
dude.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I can't wait to watch
energy of
more
that show. I can't wait to watch more of that show too. But the energy of that show was just, oh my god, was so whack. I can't wait to get back to it. All on the Patreon.
And
You can
Patreon
go listen
subscribers,
to all
you
that
would
now.
have gotten those episodes already if you had just bumped up to the next level. Everyone who bumped up... No, I'm just kidding.
Holy shit, I love this.
No, I love
this
it.
is great. We're leveling up into proper capitalists. We're not the problem for being lazy and something you should pay. Oh my God,
consumers
it's
are the
true.
problem.
We're unionizing.
We're unionizing
Oh my
against
God,
the
Anidorks
consumers.
Union against our generous patrons who give us money they're not obligated to give us. We're unionizing against them.
I think
we
you
are
should
the
have to
taxing
send me emails that tell me I'm pretty.
Yes.
I think that should be in it.
Frankly, same.
Why
and
should we
also-
have to say it? You should be able to
Yes.
read our minds.
It's not like
This is what my
it's not like
therapist
one
keeps
of
telling me.
it's not like one of our contributors already writes a fucking email that we devote a whole fucking episode to
And
every
rightfully
fucking book.
so. It's a great email every
What
time.
I'm saying is our people are already making our content for us,
That's
and
true.
now we're unionizing against it. I mean, maybe CJ's getting in on the ground floor. CJ, talk
right.
to us, bud. We need a third to,
A third? There's
Why
three
am
of us
I out
here.
of breath at this
a third of the company in certain states, a third of the company has to want to unionize to
Oh,
even get a vote.
got you.
Yeah.
Chapter 19.
19, if you can
Which,
believe
mind
it.
you, a third of us.
Three
A third of us
chapters.
is one of us. I just realized one of us would have to unionize. I'm calling a vote.
I'm
we
getting
move on-
pizza for all the employees that says how bad unions are.
Yes.
Just imagine
Wait,
us listening.
is that
We're all
just
foaming
you?
at
Are
our
you
mouths
getting yourself
right now.
pizza? No, I'm just kidding. Oh my God, dude. Dude, no, the energy of this chapter 19, the thing is, people at home, this was a cursed recording session.
Yeah.
And I'm here for it. But like, holy shit. Like we were just, it wasn't going to happen.
The last
so
time
we're just
we had-
plowing through.
The last time we had a recording session like this was also when I had difficulties
Internet
with my
problems.
and it
Yeah.
was when
Was it? Or well, and I was
was
also very
book 6?
sick, I think. Oh no, there was one where I got like
think
very
Eddie's
sick
thinking
in the middle.
Eddie's thinking of the time we were trashed, right?
Oh.
And Eddie like
but also
disappeared
we were
until we
trashed
drank too
because
much.
yes, because I had trouble with my cord.
Yeah, it was like we had gotten drunk troubleshooting your laptop.
That's right.
And then,
we were like three Trulies deep
That
when
was
we
the
started.
axe.
Yeah.
Axe and a light. That was that session. Wait, which one?
He put his tablet into his
Andalite.
neck and he said,
That might have been
Andalite.
That was book 6. That was book
book
6.
6.
That was it. Hey, you guys. I want to read you guys a page from my diary. I've been thinking about you two a lot lately, and I just think that this would help clarify some stuff.
Okay.
Chapter 19. Everyone travels together to the valley. Tobias wonders what the point of bringing Jara and Ket to the valley is if they are leading the Yeerks there as well. He goes hunting and manages to eat a mouse finally.
Oh, thank God.
Finally.
Stop being hangry.
Stop being hangry, Tobias. Helicopters
Did I get that as a fucking ringtone?
I really hope not. Ass. Helicopters arrive. He tries to return to the others, knowing some of them are in human morph, but gets knocked out of the air by a helicopter. He hits a tree on his way down and breaks his wing. He lands on the ground. A raccoon approaches Tobias to make friends with him, but then eat him. He cannot flee with a broken wing. He wonders if this is how he dies.
I do have to say, every time I fall down, I wonder if this is how I die.
I love that
every
comment,
time
Miranda.
I fall down. And every time I see a raccoon.
At the beginning of this chapter,
Little robbers.
at the beginning of this chapter, there's an interaction where, I'll just read this. So, where exactly are we going? Marco asks. Tobias replies, we're going to wherever the valley is. The valley the Elemist showed me, I said. Should we be singing that Valderie, Valdera, Valderie song? But the way that I read it was Valderie, Valdera, Valderie, Valdera.
I heard it. What song is he talking about?
Numa.
He said,
I don't know what song
he
he's
said,
talking
I mean,
about.
we are a wandering. And so my head went to Here We Come a Wassailing. And I was going, Valderie, Valdara, Valderie, Valdara.
I don't think that's it, because I've known that song for too long for that to be.
No, I have no idea what he's talking about. And you know what I didn't do? Look it up.
Here's my
No, me either.
question. Is this a book that would have been rewritten with contemporary references like that VHS?
Been Little Nas X.
What the fuck? It's a German
It'd
song.
be fucking.
The Happy
it'd be
Wanderer, song by Schaumburger Märchensänger.
This would have been Old Town Road if it were written.
Lyrics, Mein Vater war ein Wandersmann. My father was a wanderer.
Wow.
Und mir steckt's auch im Blut. No idea what that means.
Wait, but here's my question. If they had to update VHS to DVR at some point...
They stopped after book 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
this is
only
book 13.
reissued
But
the
did
first 5
anyone
books. They
get this
stopped
reference
updating them.
in the 90s? Did any child
Probably.
get... You think?
Okay.
No, I don't know, man. I don't know German. I don't know
Most
German.
children in the 90s
That's not
didn't
a
know. In
thing.
the U.S. did not know.
A lot of German children knew German.
In the US?
I'll tell you that much. German children in the U.S. might have.
He's like, oh my god, I have to go tell my friends that the Yeerks are after us and it's a trap because if they find them in human
Right.
morph, they're just walking through the fucking woods and they're
But then
going
he
to know they're
flies
humans.
into an up-down draft from the helicopter
Right.
and gets thrown into some trees. And we did this thing, but then he's dead on the ground. He's like unconscious on the ground, and he's weighing there with his
He
broken
heard it go
wing.
snap.
Can't fly away. Raccoon fucking
Very cute raccoon.
Very cute raccoon. They're not cute. They
They're pretty
waddle
cute.
up to you.
They have
no,
hands.
they have
Okay,
little
so
hands.
their hands creepy.
Yeah.
Without hands,
Cute
cute.
hands.
We talked about
If you
this.
have
Andalite's cuter
anything
without
with
arms
hands-
is
They're
what
the
Eddie
tax
said.
size.
That's true.
Yeah.
But most importantly, this is where we get the chapter where, like, we get the random animal fact that raccoons will clean their food before they eat it.
That's
Yeah.
next
And he
chapter,
says
actually, I think.
that's not totally true. Well, but the raccoon starts dragging his ass to a nearby body of water.
That's
I'm
chapter
pretty
20.
sure
That's
also
all in
next
chapter
chapter.
20.
All right, well then I should be peeing right now, which I
Why
am.
aren't you? Yeah, like, nobody stopped you.
We did finish the chapter.
I will get another drink. Well, some more water.
Thanks for listening to Anidorks. We'll be back soon with lots more to say. Until the Andalites return, or at least until next time. See you soon!